Imagine waking up one day to realize everything you trusted and loved has quietly turned against you. This is the story of Renee, a 72-year-old woman whose heart was betrayed by the people closest to her, her own family. For years, she believed her son Max and daughter-in-law Lena would cherish and support her. But the truth was far darker than she ever imagined. The phone rang, and when Renee answered, her daughter-in-law's voice carried a chilling message. "Oh, we already got married yesterday. We only invited special people." Those words hit like a bucket of ice water. Special people? Sounds harsh, right? But what if the people you thought were your family saw you as anything but? As Renee stood alone in the house she once shared, shadows of gifts, love, and sacrifices flooded her mind. A $200 dress for the wedding that she would never attend. $33,400 spent quietly on their rent, food, and needs. The price of being invisible. If you believe stories like Renee's deserve to be heard, hit the like button and subscribe to Auntie Whispers, where voices like hers come alive with every tale. But the story does not end with cold words in empty rooms. What happens when the very people you helped turn against you? When financial support becomes a weapon and love a lie? The tension builds as Renee realizes she must fight back, not just for her money, but for her dignity and freedom. Renee didn't know that the storm was only beginning. The cold words, the harsh exclusions, they were merely the opening notes in a dark symphony of betrayal. One morning, Renee discovered that all the automatic transfers she had set up for Max and Lena had been blocked. Exhausted and betrayed, she realized she had to take control back. But how? What would you do if the people you had spent years supporting suddenly turned their backs on you? This question weighed heavily on Renee's heart. I invite you to pause right here. If you've ever felt betrayed by family or are fighting to reclaim your life, hit that like button and share your story with us in the comments. Auntie Whispers is your safe place. Determined, Renee changed all the locks on her house and installed cameras, silent sentinels watching over her sanctuary. But Max and Lena weren't done. They sent a lawyer, a man with a polished smile and cold eyes, to convince her she was no longer capable of managing her own affairs. The courtroom was a battleground. Max and Lena painted her as confused, weak, incapable. Renee stood firm, armed with documents, witnesses, and a courage born of years of silent suffering. In that courtroom, every word counted. Every silence whispered hope or despair. The judge's verdict: Renee was declared clear-minded, competent, free. If you want to hear how Renee wins her battle and finds peace, subscribe now so you never miss a story like hers. As Renee walked out of the courtroom victorious, she wasn't just winning a legal battle, she was reclaiming her life, a journey that would take her far beyond betrayal, toward freedom, friendship, and finally, peace. The day when the legal battle began was the darkest Renee had ever known. Suddenly, everything she had fought for, her dignity, her independence, her voice, seemed at risk of being ripped away. Max and Lena weren't just angry, they were determined. They hired lawyers, gathered testimonies, and questioned Renee's mental clarity as if her life was a fragile shell ready to shatter. Renee felt a storm brewing inside her, a mix of fear and fierce resolve. She wasn't about to let years of love and sacrifice be thrown out by cold accusations. Her lawyer, Mr. Weber, was her shield. Together, they prepared painstakingly, collecting medical records, talking to neighbors, and making sure every document told her true story. A woman, strong and capable, fighting not just for money, but for her right to be heard. During those long, uncertain nights, Renee often sat by the window, watching the city lights flicker, wondering, was this fight worth it? Would her family ever come back from this darkness? She needed strength, both to endure and to believe in justice. Now, if stories of resilience and courage like Renee's move you, please subscribe to Auntie Whispers. Share this journey with others so no one ever feels alone in their fight. As the court date approached, tension filled every corner of her life. Friends, neighbors, even strangers reached out, lending their voices to her cause. The anticipation was unbearable, but Renee knew this was her moment to shine. Would the truth prevail, or would betrayal overshadow her final stand? The courtroom was silent, except for the somber rustling of papers and the occasional cough. Renine sat in her chair, her heart pounding like a drum in heavy fog, a fog filled with years of pain, sacrifice, and unspoken words. Each second felt stretched, as if time itself was holding its breath. Finally, the judge cleared his throat, signaling that the moment of truth had arrived. With crystal clarity, he declared, Mrs. Renine Richter is found mentally competent, capable of managing her own affairs. The petition for guardianship is denied. Relief crashed over her like a tidal wave. Tears of joy blurred the courtroom, but her smile was steady and victorious. Max and Lena sat stunned, their plans shattered within the cold walls of justice. For the first time in years, Renand had reclaimed her voice, her power, and her freedom. But the journey was not over. Leaving the courtroom, Renine felt the weight of change settle comfortably on her shoulders. If Renine's relentless spirit resonates with you, please support Auntie Whispers by liking this video and subscribing for more stories of courage, hope, and truth. She sold her home, the house holding both memories and scars, and donated half her savings to protect those vulnerable like her. The freedom she had reclaimed was not just for herself, but for anyone silenced by betrayal. Her new life was filled with the promise of travel, friendship, and rediscovery. Renan's story reminds us that true love never comes with conditions, and peace is worth every fight. Thank you for listening to Auntie Whispers. Stay tuned for more voices that matter.